Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. This week we have a great show for you, with the first couple stories being a little heavy on the spirit, but the second couple stories are going to be great news, so you want to stay tuned for that. But before we get into today's episode, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our weekly episodes. You can also support the channel and much more by donating at the link in description, and we invite you to join our monthly peer mentoring group where individuals, parents, and caretakers can come together in community and support of one another, with this month's special guest, Nicole Shepard from Maryland DDA program, discussing youth transition from public school into adult DDA services. And you can check that out at the link in bio. We hope to see you there. Now I have to warn you that our first piece from NBC News is difficult to watch, whether you're a parent of any sort or not. Some of you may find this difficult or disturbing, so viewer discretion is advised.
This is Braylon, a 3-year-old with autism spectrum disorder. He is nonverbal, but his parents say he is a smart, sweet kid. He had just started at Rosa Parks Early Learning Center when this happened. This video shows Braylon running down the hall. A paraprofessional runs after him, hits him, knocking him to the ground. The paraprofessional then picks Braylon up by his feet and carries him back to the classroom. Braylon's parents are in disbelief.
I don't want nobody picking on him or nothing happened to him, and the second day it happened. So that's why I'm like, I don't really know how to feel. I'm numb to it, honestly.
During a news conference Wednesday morning, Tanisha Lindsay and Robert Tootle claimed the school and the district downplayed what happened. They say this incident happened on the morning of August 21st, but they were not made aware until they picked Braylon up from school that afternoon.
When she let us know it wasn't the full truth, she told us that Braylon was swatted on the back of his head by a paraprofessional and that he had been removed and suspended pending investigation.
They say they didn't know just how hard Braylon was hit until they saw the video, but they weren't given the video until 3 weeks after the incident.
This delayed their child getting medical treatment because they were not being transparent and they were concealing what actually happened at the school.
Braylon is doing okay right now, but his doctors are monitoring him. His parents, along with their attorney, Michael Wright, just want to know why this was allowed to happen.
He wasn't doing anything wrong. He was running away. Like, he wasn't going to get anywhere. That building is locked. You could have bear hugged him. You could have let another teacher do it. I don't know what was going on in that man's head, but my son did not deserve that.
Make no mistake, it took the school all those hours to inform the parents of the assault because they had to deliberate amongst themselves on how to best downplay the incident to the parents as they did, or to see if any visible evidence would subside, as I'm sure it did not, after suffering this kind of damage. And let's be clear in that the security footage was available in real time that day. And I know this through our experience in servicing special needs schools like the Children's Guild and Cedar Lane School, where they have cameras at every corner, and with the ability to play back footage in real time in the case of emergencies. It took the school 3 weeks to go public with the footage because they first had to send the security footage over to their school board for review in order to get a head start in strategizing their response to the egregious assault. Imagine this being your child's first schooling experience. Now imagine that your child is nonverbal, which means that they can't speak for themselves, let alone defend themselves. Fortunately, this was caught on camera. Imagine how many incidents like this happen every day off camera. And you would be sorely mistaken if you think this only happens to autistic children. This is too common an occurrence with autistic adults who are on the end of the spectrum, where the ability to speak and function independently are not present. We still live in a world where some people sincerely believe that physical abuse serves as an effective remedy or proper response to autistic behaviors. And sometimes, as we've just witnessed, those people are the ones in charge of caring for autistic individuals and individuals with other developmental disabilities such as cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, epilepsy, and others. Disabilities that can shorten their lifespans, where some don't typically live past their 30s, let alone without the need of a trach to breathe or a stomach tube for nutrition because their condition does not allow for these functions to happen independently. It's crushing to witness a child of any kind abused in plain sight like this. But it's especially crushing to know that had there not been security cameras, this may have never come to light, considering the school's response to this. They could have easily made something up and blamed the child for this. And my heart goes out to the parents who are already faced with the struggles so many parents go through in raising autistic children. But I am relieved that this was picked up in the mainstream press, and hope to further spread the call for awareness, acceptance, and accountability so more people choose patience and kindness toward these individuals and think twice before doing otherwise. This next story puts a spotlight on a rising issue. Take a look.
A 13-year-old boy with autism forced to live at a hospital in Longmont for weeks It wasn't because he was sick or injured. It was because his father abandoned him. Well, now the case has caught the attention of a state lawmaker who says the state's welfare system simply can't keep up. She talked with political specialist Sean Boyd.
You're 13 years old, your parent drops you off at the ER and never comes back, and then nobody helps you?
State Representative Judy Amabile was appalled when she received an email from an employee at UC Health's Longs Peak Hospital saying a 13-year-old boy with autism had been abandoned by his dad for nearly a month. And human service workers at both the county and state said due to a lack of resources, it would take months longer to secure placement for him.
I don't know whether the dad may or may not have reached out, and asked for help and not been able to get any help. Like, we don't know. But what we do know is that you can't just leave a 13-year-old in an ER for weeks on end with no end in sight.
The Colorado Department of Human Services was unable to talk about the case, but indicated it wasn't isolated, saying every month there are children living in residential settings out of state, sleeping in county offices or hotels, or staying in hospital or detention settings, due primarily to a lack of providers willing to treat kids with complex behavioral health needs.
The specialized providers continue to close their doors or leave Colorado. 10 companies have closed, gone bankrupt, or left the state because they say the Medicaid reimbursement rates for services are not sustainable. And as a result, providers say roughly between 650 and 1,000 patients have already lost services.
The discussion now is to raise rates by roughly 20% to reach 100% of the benchmark, which is an average of rates from 10 other states adjusted for cost of living. But if approved, wouldn't take effect until next summer.
We're not responding like it's an emergency. We're responding like, well, it's a problem.
Amabile has carried legislation allocating tens of millions of dollars to increase the availability of residential treatment in Colorado. She says the state is not moving fast enough.
A spokesperson for Colorado's Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing, or HCPF, says their analysis has Colorado at 93% with a 7% increase to reach that benchmark. He says they are set for a budget status hearing with lawmakers next month, and departments at that time can ask for more money from the state this year, but Karen, it doesn't happen often.
So there's a bit to unpack here. First, let's acknowledge that yes, this does happen. There are parents and caregivers who do abandon their autistic or developmentally disabled individuals under a number of circumstances. We don't know the father's reasoning behind abandoning his son, but I can speak from experience and having witnessed a number of people abandoning their neurodivergent individuals to the state, that the reasoning is nearly always due to a lack in physical, mental, or monetary ability to adequately care for them, with the mental component being the common denominator. Parenting and caring for a neurodivergent individual can be uniquely and especially difficult even if you have assistive services available. In other words, these people are human and break under pressure. Now, we can judge them till kingdom come, and believe me, some of them absolutely deserve it. But the flip side of that coin involves people throwing up their hands after years of broken bones and a broken will. This is why we run our peer mentoring group, where we bring parents and caregivers in similar positions together in fellowship, community, and solidarity as parents and caregivers for these individuals, and hopefully someday impact a national or global reduction in these abandonments. Now, this story points out a rise in individuals being left in places like hospitals due to a rise in closures of group homes and other facilities that can be of long-term help in these sort of circumstances. These programs rely on Medicaid reimbursement to be able to keep these facilities open and pay their staff, who were, by the way, sorely underpaid prior to post-pandemic inflation, with many of them working at least 2 jobs to get by. Places like Colorado are facing a care crisis because the pay that workers get from these care facilities are not cutting it to cover their bills. And as you saw at the end there, the state's response for a 20% adjustment to inflation was met with a, no, we think 7% will cover it, and that'll come around next summer, so sit tight. And now, as promised, some wonderful news. I'm proud to report that so far this year, we've been able to provide over 400 bags of fresh produce, making anywhere from 1,200 to 1,600 meals as healthy food options for the individuals and caregivers we serve at places like Apex, American and Renix Caregivers, Children's Guild, Cedar Lane School, and others. Take a look at what some of them had to say.
Today we're at Apex Home Care to deliver 60 bags of produce which would go a very long way to help the families, caregivers, and parents of.
We are very grateful and thankful to Autism Alliance Group for gifting us this wonderful food produce that will go in line with our nutrition program we do here with our individuals at Apex Home Care. We're going to be serving it for dinner, and we're going to be giving out some to our staff members and some of the individuals in our personal home support homes. Thank you all very much, Autism Alliance Group. We really appreciate your kindness gestures towards us. Thank you. We look forward to dealing more with you in the future.
My name is Dad. I'm from American Caregiver. I just want to show my thanks to the Autism Ally Group for the food donation. It means like a lot to us and in helping out most of our client family. So I just want to say thank you.
Here at the Children's Guild, we are excited about having a new partnership with Autism Ally, being able to provide fresh produce to our students, our families, our staff, even the bus drivers who drive our students back and forth to school each day. It's an awesome experience to be able to give back to those who do the hard work for our students each and every day. We really do appreciate being able to garner new partnerships, and we look forward to a continued partnership in the future.
Everything we do is all thanks to our donors, sponsors, and partners, including Kite Realty Group and 1 Acre Farm. If you'd like to join in and support our cause, autismallyGroup.org/donate. And the last story of this week is one of excellence, with an autistic teenager breaking the world record for solving the Rubik's Cube. Take a look.
455.
Good job, Max.
Max Park is a Rubik's Cube whiz.
Yes!
The 21-year-old from California just broke a Guinness World Record by solving the puzzle in 3.13 seconds.
You know, when I saw the time, I was like, he just broke the world record. You know, I was just flabbergasted, really.
Schwan Park is Max's dad.
At the time it happened, you know, I'm embarrassed to say I actually wasn't watching. I was there and I was speaking with another parent and we were just discussing stuff. And all of a sudden I heard this just screaming explosion. I kind of knew in my heart that it must have been special because the type of screaming that I heard was pretty explosive. I'm like, and so I went over there and I'm like, oh, wow.
Max's parents got him hooked on the Rubik's Cube when he was 9 years old. You see, Max was diagnosed with autism when he was 2.
One of the issues that he used to have was fine motor skill problems. He just couldn't do certain things like open up a Coke bottle, water bottle kind of a thing. And so we worked with an occupational therapist trying to strengthen his fingers. And one day, Mickey, his mother, saw a Rubik's Cube and thought, well, this might help.
So Mickey went on YouTube to learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube and then taught Max.
And just in a couple of days, he figured it out and he went on YouTube himself. He learned how to do it. And it just, you know, we went down the rabbit hole from there.
His parents started entering him in speed cuber competitions. And they say it really helped.
Go! One thing that the people always say in the autism community is help your kid find their tribe. When he went there, he just lit up. He found his tribe of people. So much started to blossom from that environment. And, you know, we just been doing that ever since, really.
From the United States of America, Max.
He's dominating every event, and he's showing that a person with a disability can be just as good as anyone else.
There's even a documentary that features his journey called The Speed Cubers on Netflix.
I want to get 3 seconds. Come on.
As a kid, Max would practice for about 5 hours a day. Now it's a couple at most. Up next, he has the U.S. Nationals in Pittsburgh, followed by South Korea for the World Championships.
I think he just loves the pursuit, just seeing what his limitations are.
And his parents are along for the ride, watching Max succeed.
We're so proud of him. It's easy to talk about him. He's the greatest kid in the world.
I'm Lee Sheps for Inside Edition Digital.
Yes! Now, before we go, I want to give you one last little bit of good news in that we've raised over 40% of our goal with the charity golf tournament scheduled for this October, with the top sponsors being Jeducare, Creed Medical Group, and First Point Security. We still have sponsors and foursome slots available. Visit autismallyGroup.org for details at link in description. And that's going to do it for this week's episode. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our weekly episodes. Follow us on our socials with all the links in the description, and as always, thanks for watching.
I'll be there when you